If you guys wanna know why you can't shoot faster, it's your vision focus. If you wanna know why you can't shoot as accurate, it's your vision focus. What is up, YouTube? We are here, week 2, day 2, out here on the range, and today we're gonna be doing a little bit more of like hard skills training. The flies are freaking crazy today. They're flying all over me, so hopefully that doesn't take away from the training too much today. The goal today is to do a lot more hard skills stuff, and I don't know if that's the right word for it, but essentially what I mean by hard skills is like recoil control, vision focus, reloads, transitions, things that like no matter what style of shooting you're doing or whether you're training for real world situations, USPSA, comp style stuff, these are hard skills that just all around will change your performance. We're not gonna be out here too long. I've got about 4 drills that I'm gonna do. I'm not trying to burn through a ton of rounds. I did dry fire this morning for about 30 minutes before I came up here. So I'm not gonna be doing a ton of dry fire in between just due to time constraints. I've had a really busy day, but I wanted to get out here and make this video just so you guys can see what a hard skills day look like. Usually when I set these weekly trainings up, I like to do, one day that's focused on, whatever it is I'm training for. So like right now, because that is USPSA, like I'm doing a lot more like USPSA style, like stages or drills, which was day 1 of week 2. Then I like to do a hard skills day where it's just working on, pistol fundamentals in general. And then the third day, I kind of like to do a combination of the two, where we might have like a lot of, for example, recoil control stuff where I spend a long time just working on like bill drill, but then maybe we'll go straight into like a USPSA style stage and do something like that. That being said, I'm gonna go jam up my mags and we will get into it. First drill today that we're gonna be working on is just the first round from the holster. So starting from the holster, drawing and firing 1 round in the A zone. We are at the 10-yard line right now, and the goal is just speed and accuracy here. How fast can you do this? We might really try to push the pace and be yanking some Charlies, which is okay, as long as like we are aware of what's going on. So things that I'm looking for. When I'm focused on the pasty on the target, like where is my dot naturally going on my presentation? In terms of like my draw, what are maybe some things that are slowing me down or speeding me up? And luckily, with a camera, as I'm recording this stuff, you can see some of these things happen on the camera, which is nice. You kind of feel like a douchebag when you're the guy at the range who's recording himself, but at the end of the day, like having footage of yourself is very helpful. And so it's okay to feel like a dick as long as, you're getting some value out of it.
It's okay to feel like a dick, you're getting some value out of it.
We're gonna jump into the drill. The reason I like this drill is because pretty much any drill that you are doing or any competition or anything you're training for, you're gonna be drawing from your holster, and that first round means a lot, right? Like first guy to get an accurate round off is probably gonna win the gunfight. So I really like this drill because it pretty much applies to anything you're doing. Like how fast can you get that first round from the holster? And then we move on to the bill drill, which is like we're taking that ability to get an accurate first shot, and then we're just adding 5 onto the end of it with like predictive shooting. Yeah, let's jump into it. All right, so I've got 30 rounds loaded up here in my mags. So we'll go 10 rounds, then we'll go evaluate the target, paste it up, 10 rounds, evaluate, etc. Try to make changes if necessary. That was 1-1 alpha. Oh my gosh, it's literally the exact same. 1-1. 1-1-1 was the last one. This one was also 1-1-1. 1 exactly. I threw that one. That one's a Charlie. 9-6 Charlie. 9-8 alpha. Got lost in the dot there. That one is also a Charlie. So I'm just not staying as vision focused as I need to. I'm gonna focus a little bit more right now. Vision focus, vision focus. There we go, 0.99, perfect, alpha. I heard that one, that one felt like a little longer. 1.07 alpha. 0.9 that's a line breaker. Perfect. 101 alpha. First rep, I pulled 4 out of the 10 to the left, right outside of the A zone. I wasn't super vision focused, just straight up. First run of the day, no dry fire beforehand. This is just me jumping into it, having that vision focus is like, I would honestly say it's like 90% of the battle is just staying super intensely focused on where you want that round to go. Naturally, your eyes will bring that sight where it needs to be if you're drilling it and repping it enough. I don't think it was an issue with my presentation, my grip, anything. It was just a matter of not being focused, because as soon as I locked that in, everything cleaned up. So we're going to try to really tighten up our group here, and try to keep that like sub-second going, while also like, making sure that we're staying super intensely focused. If you guys want to know why you can't shoot faster, it's your vision focus. If you want to know why you can't shoot as accurate, it's your vision focus. And if you don't believe me, go and practice vision focus for a week straight, and then go and run the same drills, and you're going to be doing way better times you're going to be getting way better times, and your shots are going to be way more accurate. Guaranteed 100%. Okay, on that last run, I literally had a fly land on my glasses. And so I'm trying to stay focused on the dot, and I see this thing just crawling around. So I threw that one high. So second rep, I had 3 Charlies. They were all higher. I think part of that was, I think it as well, just I can tell you right now, like it's gonna sound like I'm just repeating myself, but it's vision focus. Like sometimes my mind starts wandering, and I'm like, oh, I need to go super fast. Or like I need to move my hands faster when I'm doing my draw or whatever. When in reality, like if you just stay 100% focused, it's going to improve. So this time I'm going to like really try to do that. Another issue is these freaking flies. Like every time I get locked into a drill, I have a fly land like on my speaker here, and I can hear it buzzing around, or lands on my glasses. Like it's just an excuse. We're going to try to lock in on this third rep, get some really good runs here, and then we're going to move into the bill drill, where hopefully we can like really lock this down. Okay, let's go look at the target. I'm gonna show you guys something. Okay, so these are bullets from the last 2 runs, but all of these right here are from this last run, and these were all when I was really trying to push the pace. So I think what's happening, I'm over gripping my dominant hand. If you guys look, weapon's clear. Like I want you guys to try this at home, all right? If I present my pistol and I start pulling, like squeezing my grip, look what naturally happens to the gun. It pulls it left, okay? Because when you squeeze your wrist, like naturally it's gonna wanna go this way. When you squeeze your wrist, it's not like going out. For me, it's always like naturally I wanna start tilting it in a little bit more. So what I think is happening is, first run of the day, not warmed up, and I'm trying to go as fast as I can. I'm just really squeezing onto that thing when I present it, and it's going high and to the left. Because my vision felt good on these. Like I am kind of like all over the place, like especially this like kind of up and down pattern, which tells me my vision isn't really locked in as much as it should be, or else these would all be like in this area here. But for first run of the day, like I'm not super dissatisfied. My times are all kind of around that, like I would say 1.10 average. We'll record that 1.10 average, and we'll say that we are at like a 70% rate for getting alpha hits out of 10. And then we'll work on this next week and throughout our dry fire. And then what I'll do is I'll record like, hey, naturally I'm going high and to the left. And then when I'm doing dry fire, we can work on like loosening that grip and seeing if that makes it better. Okay, so we're moving on to the bill drill now. Drill's fantastic for vision focus, for kind of understanding the relationship between staying target focused and like what should be happening with your dot. It's also just a good drill for making sure your grip is locked down, your recoil control is locked down. We're going for speed here too. So we're looking for all alphas, the 10-yard line, and we're looking for a sub 2 second, all right? It's really important, guys, when we're training, that we're trying to collect data. Like we're not just here to get reps in. We're here to collect data so that when we do our dry fire, we can work on that data. So like just barely, I went and wrote down, a 1-1 average on the previous drill, and like that 70% rate, and that I was high and to the left. And what I'm gonna do with that information now is apply it to my dry fire and see if I can fix that in dry fire. Then I'm also gonna talk to friends who are better shooters than me and be like, hey man, I'm naturally pulling high and to the left. These are my average times. Here's a video of what it looks like. What do you think I should do? That's the best way to improve, is actually collecting the information and then applying it to your dry fire stuff. You can't just come out here and blow a bunch of rounds and just be like, oh, well, I was about here, so I'm gonna try to be better next time I come out. It's like, you're not going to get any better doing that. You get better by saying, okay, I'm here. I'm going to rep it 100 times in dry fire, try to fix my problem, and then come out and see where I'm at. Let's get, what we're going to do is I'm going to run the bill drill twice. We're going to look at the target, and then we're going to do some dry fire reps in between. And then we're going to go again, do it twice, look at the target, make our assessment, and then we're going to record our data. 2.47, bad grip, and I had some trigger freeze there, some pretty serious trigger freeze. So that rep was kind of kibosh. Ah, that was gonna be a better rep. I actually thought about like making sure my non-dominant hand was pretty loose there, and then I think as I kept going, like you could see those first 5 shots were pretty good, and then that last one was just like a terrible trigger freeze. So let's go look at the target here and see what we got. So out of our 12 rounds, so we have like decent grouping. It looks like this is kind of our average here. We have 1 Charlie there, and then we have 2 Charlies up here. Other than that, that's what we got. So I'm not super dissatisfied with it. I think the trigger freeze kind of threw some of these rounds off. That one was definitely from the last trigger freeze, and this one was from the first one. I think that may have been my first round on the first rep, because a lot of times when I do bill drill, I naturally pull high on the first rep. So we're gonna pasty this up, and we're gonna do it again. And again, like my main freaking villain right now is just over gripping this dominant hand. So we're gonna really be thinking about loosening that grip and just focusing dead on that pasty, like with all the intensity in our soul. All right, here we go, round 2. Thinking about vision focus, thinking about letting that that dominant hand relax just a little bit. Here we go. That rep felt kind of bad. My grip on my non-dominant hand was pretty bad there. I can already see that there's 3 Charlies. So we're gonna walk that down a little bit. I could tell like these were all high right. It's because I wasn't gripping this thing, so it just kept kind of walking up. Better. 2.2. Just looking at the target here. So I threw 2 Charlies on the first one, 2 Charlies on the second one. So it went from pulling rounds high because my grip was not enough to pulling these rounds low, probably because my grip was a little too much. I think my non-dominant hand was fine, but on that second rep, I was definitely forcing the gun down. Like I was putting some sort of, gun's clear, I was putting some sort of physical like input into the gun, trying to force it back down after the recoil, which naturally made those shots go low. And I was doing that because on my first rep, the rounds were going high, you know, and when those rounds went high on the first rep, my vision immediately went to that dot being too high, and then it just kept walking up and going higher and higher and higher because I'm not focused on where the rounds should be going, which is the pasty. I found that a lot when I'm training, is that like I make a mistake, then I overcorrect, and then on the next rep, I'm back where I should be, which is fine. You know, it's kind of like bracketing with a mortar system, or maybe like wind calls with a precision rifle. Like we're not here to have a perfect target every single time. We're here to make mistakes, figure out what's going on, and then fix it. So now I know, like, okay, I'm getting my vision focus messed up, then I'm over gripping. Like there's a happy middle ground here, which we can figure out in the dry fire so that when we do the live fire, it's better. So I'm gonna dry fire some more, then we'll rep this for the next couple times. All right, here we go, next 2 reps. I could definitely see in my dry fire, like when I tightened this grip up, it felt much, much better. Like dot was going right where I want it to on my presentation. So we're focusing on that right now. Here we go. I think right now about 2.2 is our average, which I'm not super happy with, but you know, for not doing like straight up bill drill for a while, like really focusing on speed and like getting our bill drill down, I'm not super dissatisfied. Forgot to pasty, so let me go do that real quick. Little bit of trigger freeze on that first one, 2.14 and 1 Charlie. 2.2. I kind of jumped the buzzer there a little bit, which kind of, I think, made me draw a little bit slower, but all alphas on that last run. Oh no, we didn't have a Charlie on the first one. That's 2 clean runs. So I thought it was a Charlie, but it's just a little white residue on the pasty. That was a 2.2, so we're still kind of hanging out with that average. I'm glad those last 2 reps were cleaner. If I had more time, I would be out here and doing this at least double the amount of times I just did it, really trying to work on that. But I'm at least happy that those first 2 runs were clean. I really think bill drill is like one of the best drills that you can be doing in terms of like really figuring out your grip and really figuring out like recoil control and staying target focused. Like being able to stay target focused as that dot is essentially like bouncing up and down in the A zone is really hard. And I'm not great at it, obviously, but that's why we're here. We're here to work on it and like show our mistakes and talk through like what the solution is to fix them. So we're gonna go on to the next drill now. Another thing, we're actually going to be recording our data here. So I'm gonna write down like, hey, 2-2 was your average today, and you were getting a little bit dot focused, which was making your rounds do like this like seatbelt pattern across the pasty. Next drill, I don't remember exactly what this drill is called. It's another drill by X-Ray Alpha. I'm probably doing it a little bit wrong, but it doesn't really matter because the idea, the goal is the exact same. So I've got 2 targets out here, cardboard target at 10 yards, and then I've got the steel target at 20. The idea here is I'm doing 6 rounds just like I was doing with the bill drill, except I'm doing 4 into the cardboard, and then I'm transitioning, I'm doing 2 into the steel. Steel target is kind of tall right now, just because it is kind of on a mounded dirt, and I didn't want to pound it in any lower than that. We're working on a couple things. We're working on obviously like that first round from the holster, getting those 4 rounds out quick. Then we're doing a transition, and it's also like controlling the tempo, right? Because sometimes when you're making these transitions from close targets to far targets, you need to slow down the pace that you're shooting so that you can hit those farther targets. You know, I've mentioned it before, but those steel targets are smaller than a C zone. So if I miss, I know I'm hitting C's and D's. Larger than an A zone, but only slightly larger than an A zone. So I've got it at 20. So yeah, I like this drill, even if I'm doing it wrong. I'll go find out later today. But the idea is that I'm working on hard skills, right? Rounds from the holster, fast, and trying to get all alphas, vision focus, making that transition to another target, vision focus, while making a transition, and then 2, that like tempo, like how fast can I shoot with a smaller target at a farther distance, and making sure that we're taking accurate shots there. So good hard skills drill. So we're gonna run this probably at least 6 times with dry reps in between, and we'll talk about it. I also don't know time standards on this, so we're just gonna get a baseline with these first 2 reps and then try to beat it. Ah, my grip was all jacked up. I'm not running that rep. Ah, trigger freeze. That was a 3.4. We can definitely go a lot faster than that. The round I missed on the steel was high right and all alphas. That was a 2.7, but not clean. But we'll just say that like that felt like a good run. Let's say 2.7 clean is what we're gonna shoot for. And then I think maybe on these next reps, 2.5 is probably a better goal for us to set. So I'm gonna run this dry a few times and we'll get back after it. Really focused on vision when I make that transition, and focusing really hard on a specific part of that steel target because I don't have a pasty on it. And then also just making sure my non-dominant hand is really tight. I keep noticing in my dry fire that my non-dominant hand is not as tight as it should be. So, okay, 2.6. That was clean. Here we go. We can go faster than that. Those first 4 rounds are coming out slow. Ah, we missed the last steel. 2.3. I did try to push the pace a little bit on that one. My vision is off on that steel. It is clean so far though. Rounds are kind of all over the place. I do have a group here to the left that looks to be kind of where I'm mainly at, little low left, but then I kind of have this like stream of rounds here going on the right, going up and down, which tells me that I'm not locking this grip in as tight as I should, and I'm getting a little bit focused on the dot. Probably I bet those last 2 rounds is what happened. Those first 2 are probably on the dot, and then I look at the dot and it's not exactly where I want it to be, and I crank off those last 2 rounds. So I'm gonna pace this up. We'll get a couple dry fire reps in, but this drill feels really good, honestly. It's kind of like a mix between a target transition and a bill drill, which is kind of cool. And it's the first time I've done it, but I'm definitely gonna do this drill a lot more. This drill is tits. Is my rhythm. Like when I do this, I don't want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4 transition 1, 2. I want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna be thinking about that, and I think that might help me with my speed a little bit more. And then I also just have a more particular spot I'm looking at on this still target here to try to like make sure that that's really where I have my vision focus. Okay, so the rhythm felt better there, but I did miss that first round, which I kind of noticed during my dry fire was happening, just because I am making that transition a little bit faster now. Slower first 4 shots, We're gonna pick that up and then we'll try to match that pace a little bit on the next two. Get a good clean run here. My grip was just bad there. I mean, if you watch the footage, you can see my grip was like low on the pistol. But I decided to finish the rep, which was stupid of me. Maybe, I don't know. Looking at the target though, 1 Charlie on those runs, probably from that last rep, and then I missed both steel and they were both high and to the right. So just bad grip, that's all that was. I might run this 2 more times just because I like this drill. Okay, that was a 247 with one Charlie and 1 miss on the steel. Maybe 2.5 just becomes our goal if we can't hit it here today. I mean, it's a good goal to do consistently, I guess. Here we go. That was 237. That was clean minus the 1 still. So the thing I was noticing there was throughout all these reps, like those first 4 shots were much slower than the splits I was doing in my bill drill. I think that's because I knew there was a transition coming up, so maybe I was slower, which is maybe something that like this drill like called out as a weakness of mine, is that like when I know there's a transition, maybe I'm a little worried to like push the pace. But yeah, this is a really awesome drill. I think I'm gonna include this on like all my hard skills days and maybe like push the targets out farther, bring them in closer, and just see like how I can push the pace. We're gonna set a goal here. We're gonna say our average was like 2.5, but not clean. And the goal that we're gonna say is 2.5, but doing that clean. Final drill, you guys have seen this one before, designated target drill. The idea is that you're engaging the steel in the middle, then you're going 2 rounds to the left, steel, 2 rounds to the left, steel, 2 rounds to the right, steel, 2 rounds to the right. The idea is that you're really working on vision focus with transitions here, where it's like your classic 2-round engagement from a USPSA style match, but we're transitioning like a ton here, where it's like, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 transitions in 11 rounds. We're probably only gonna do this 3 times just because, like I said, I don't have a ton of time today. And then we'll do a couple dry reps in between to like maybe fix some of the things we're seeing on the targets. I'm only pasting up Charlies just to make the time go by faster, but we should have a pretty good idea of where these rounds are going. Guess I only loaded 10 rounds into that one. Alpha, 2 Charlie, alphas, alphas, and then I think we missed the first steel. Both these Charlies are right above each other and to the right, which means that when I made that transition from the steel to the right, my vision was off and I was probably had a broader focus on the target instead of like a really locked in focus on the pasty. I pulled the trigger late and just need to lock that vision in a little bit more. So as I dry rep this, I'm thinking about going from pasty to pasty and really intensely focusing on that instead of just like putting physical input into driving the gun. When I'm doing these dry fire drills, it's kind of just like a me thing, but I try to have 3 good dry fire reps in a row before I go live again. It's not to say I'm only doing 3 reps. Usually I'm doing 5 to 10 at least. In that sequence, if I have in that first 5 reps, like 3 really good reps in a row where it's like, yeah, my vision was good there. The dot was where I wanted it to be. My grip felt strong. That's kind of my cue that like, okay, these things are getting locked into my brain. Again, only 10 rounds. Did I load to, gosh, freaking dang it, man. Is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I'm retarded. I put 11 rounds in each one, thinking this was an 11 round drill. Just see what we got. Alphas, 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 1 Charlie. So, and we were good on steel there. So that was a 5.27. We had 1 more round of fire there, so we probably would have been at least, so what is that, 5.6 maybe? So let me go load 1 more round and we'll do it again. Yeah, not the best run. There's a 5.35. I knew I pulled this one high. This is my first round. So 1 Charlie, alphas, alphas, alphas with 1 line breaker alpha. And I think we missed at least 1, maybe 2 steel there. It was totally a vision thing. I just have a hard time staying vision focused on that steel. Like I see the whole thing instead of dialing into one point. During a USPSA match, you don't have something to like lock in on the target. You're just looking, at a point in the A zone. So I need to get better at that. Maybe re-spray painting the target so there's not a bunch of bullet marks on it might help out. But 5.35. What we'll do is we'll probably say that our average here was 5.5. I think is fair to say. Because I wasn't pasting the targets completely, I don't have the best idea of where I was missing, but I know on these right ones, at least on that first transition, I'm low and to the right almost always. And that could be because my steel is a little bit higher than my other targets. So, guns clear, as I'm making that transition down and to the right, I'm just not staying super focused on that pasty, and I'm just seeing the target as a whole, which means I'm like, as I'm making that transition, I'm just cranking rounds off when I see red, whereas I should be cranking rounds off as soon as I see that flash of red on the pasty, and I should be locked in on that pasty. So I'm gonna go record this, and we're gonna call it for the day. Thank you for watching, guys, and kind of following this journey as I try in this first year to get Grandmaster. If you are a Grandmaster or Master, and you maybe see some things that I can work on my training, feel free to put it in the comments below. Like, I have an open mind, no ego here when it comes to shooting. Like, I want to learn, I want to get better. If you haven't already, like the video. It helps it on the algorithm. Comment what you guys saw, what you guys think I can improve, what you guys liked, and then subscribe to follow this journey. I'm going to be putting out at least 3 videos a week of my training sessions, and then I'll be doing maybe 1 or 2 videos, more gear review, guns, just like things that I'm using, and letting you guys know kind of my own personal thoughts on it with my background. So that being said, peace out.